Hello and welcome. It is the end of the 14th day of February 2019. My name is Derek Albets Trades and of the like. Well, that's within each's own risk and their own reward. Let's talk about NEM, XEM, which is at this current time frame attempting to break the downtrend. And it's been in such since the December 12th high. I know, December 10th highs, rather, and has really barely even had an attempt to break out above. It did so on the 11th and then again on the 15th of January. To no avail. It wasn't even able to get back into the 18 average band. In fact, it never even got into that band until just recently, yesterday, as it's been remaining within this downtrend. But closing above it and holding and staying above it for the first few hours, as it is at 10:31 p.m. Eastern Time. Markets open and close at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So 3.5 hours so far in the current day. Let's take a look at a few other coins. Next up is Litecoin. First against the US fiat, which hasn't came back down to this, what looks to be a 38.2% retracement. But it is back to where it came from in here. Just at the 18 average of highs. No sign that it's going to leave it right now. But it's in that correctionary phase from this most previous high, about $5 north of such. Looking at it against Bitcoin. Same similar thing amongst this 18 average. And its highs, of course, a little noticeable amount, but not that big of a correction either way. As it's been doing well since these lows near January 14th. Let's talk next about Raven, RVN. I haven't talked about this coin in a while. It too has been in a downtrend and has been since, well, pretty much its inception. It started off going good. So since this run, it band flattened out pretty much in this little area here. November of 2018, downtrend, attempt to get above it. Wasn't able to do so, failed the 18, and then has been just continuing to go lower, having this level of resistance. And it's seen it here and around Christmas, came back most recently on the 23rd and 22nd of January, but has been ever since falling, staying and holding below this previous level of support. Nothing too enthusiastic about this coin other than it's down decently. Next up, Verge, XVG. Other than Litecoin, I'm only showing markets I haven't shown in quite some time. Within Verge, it has pretty much given back a good portion of its gains from its November rally, but amongst such, a lot of good buy low, sell high opportunities. Price currently in at 164. In January here, it was 194. And even before then, on January the 14th, 14th, just in the middle of this range, it was 187. And why am I picking that date? Well, that was the day Cryptopia had the unscheduled maintenance, and trading has not occurred at this time. So currently we're going, and I don't know at what price point it would have been at, but it would have been somewhere in the 180s on last trades. You're probably going to see ask prices at about 185, maybe some bids in at 182, 181. And if the market happens to open up and none of the orders get canceled, then there's going to be a slew of people that are going to sell that down to that current price pretty fast. Also, don't be surprised if a lot of markets on Cryptopia, with the site opening, will most likely have their markets down cheaper against other markets. So good arbitraging might be available for the first day or so, where every single market, like the Dash and the Litecoins, the Ethereums, the everythings, will be selling for priced lower than the normal exchanges. When Litecoin was taken down about a year ago, for a good day, the Litecoin was trading at about 2-3% lower, always, if not 4 or 5 at times. Cheaper than all the other major marketplaces. I would not be surprised if a similar event were to take place again, but with every single coin. But let's take a look at some of these prices then and now, then being January 14th, and then the approximate ones earlier tonight. NEM trading at 1566 Satoshi against Bitcoin. Litecoin was 867 back then. And then that means the ratio would have meant the price against Litecoin as I am trading it myself, or we're trading it. Thus, I don't have access at this current time and haven't for a month on my new economy coins. 180,000 Satoshi against Litecoin. But now the fair price would be 105. And I most likely have buy orders in at like 140, 150, 130, somewhere in that ballpark area. So this is something I don't want to buy at that price. I mean, if it works out that I have to because they open the exchange at 3 in the morning my time, or just anything, like even I'll find out 30 minutes and they don't delete orders, that's not going to be cool. And there's going to be a lot of coins like this, and I'm only naming a few in here, and probably even some that would be worse. Raven coin, as I was showing you, well, that was 39,000 Satoshi against Litecoin. Now it's 25.7. And practically every coin against Litecoin, given the fact it's went from 867 to 1153 against Bitcoin, is probably down against Litecoin. Verge, it's was 21,000 against Litecoin, now 14,000. Other ones not talked about within the charts: Stellar Lumen, 340,000 before, now 184. That one's down quite a bit. Qtum was 592, is now 524, so the price differential here decent. And TUSD, or against the dollar, 3.15 million Satoshi against TUSD before. Now it's about 2.43. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It takes took 748 Litecoin to buy one Dow. Now only takes 617, even though the Dow has went up. It's just the Dow's only went up like 1,500 basis points, so that's like 6% maybe. Where Litecoin has went from 867 to 1153. That's 153 plus the differential here. That's 133. Add the 286 on this. So you're looking at about 27%. And unfortunately, the bottom will be a little difficult to read, but going over some timeline on XBY within exchanges in the year 17 plus 2000, or 2017, and the month of 04, the CSEX cryptocurrency exchange was the only place that it was traded, and it was on decent volume, meaning you could day trade it and try to get plays back and forth. I'm going to talk about that amongst NLC2 after I'm done talking about this. But a month later, I noticed that Yobit was trading it, and its volume was just rising and rising and rising. And it's seen the trolls and aggressive trading occurred there. And when I say trolls, I don't know what other term to use. Maybe they're just creating a lot of fear amongst the chat. And then the aggressive trading, it's seen that the more aggressive sell-offs happen on that site. But that was great for me because I would buy on Yobit, and then I could then wait to sell again on Yobit or sell immediately on CSEX. It was great profiting. And then in July or August, but this is when it changed around September, Cryptopia came into play. So I started playing amongst them. As far as Cryptopia was a very small exchange, much smaller than these other two at the start. And I was able to get a lot of great arbitrages because people were buying it up on the site. I was selling it for 20% more than I could buy for it live over and over again, and I made magnificent profits arbitraging when that came into play. But then after that, there was problems within the Yobit wallet, and the CSA, this currency exchange, early death stages occur. They stated in the fall of 2017 that they were going to be down for a few months, and there was a lot of access, including depositing and withdrawing, was just not allowed. I'm like, really? And I haven't been on that exchange since before September of 2017, probably July or August of that year. So close to year and a half plus. And on the bottom, again, I'm not too sure how well you can read this. Now, this is year 19, month number 2, this current one. Coin exchange. And I'm making my prediction right now. that they will be tops from day one of return. Of course, asterisk pending like Bittrex or Binance or anything doesn't open up before Cryptopia reopens. And I'll bring this back on the screen. But what I'm expecting with that of XBY is when they open up the markets, we're going to see sell-offs. And that's going to happen. And like I mentioned before, how I think that every market's going to go down lower than what its price will be available on other exchanges. That XBY is just going to sell, and it's going to be cheaper than its other exchanges probably as well. But you're going to get people that are going to transfer their coins to other exchanges as well. Those like myself who actively like to trade the market would probably rather do so on other exchanges. And then, of course, if they don't immediately, when they see that there's more volume at somewhere else, then they'll have to adjust that, sort of like how Cryptopia worked back in 2017. That's what I am fully expecting. So to say that Coin Exchange would outdo Cryptopia, that would have been a laughing matter 6 weeks ago, but it's becoming a realistic matter right now. Cryptopia has posted a Twitter update, and that was for that of they're allowed back in the building, basically. They're back in the building. Please give them authorization. A little over a day late, but this means that they're probably going to do what they have to do to open things up. I don't know how they're going to do regarding haircuts, how the losses are going to be going through. I'm sure they've been planning stuff like this out, but it does look as if the coins at least will be given back to the people. Now, for myself on Coin Exchange, I have purchased I've increased my XBY portfolio, at least what I had before, by about 18%. And I've done so at a cost average of 181 on that. I'm not going to show that chart, but I'm most likely going to put the majority of the trading towards that site there. And as far as Cryptopia, I'm probably just going to leave a little bit of XBY and Bitcoin on the site for uses of arbitraging it, because now that Coin Exchange is back, that feature will come back available to me. And yes, now let's move on to NLC2. And I can tell right now that I've just made a trade, and I'm trading this very short term. We see black numbered lines at 320 and 48. Well, my lowest sell order coming into maybe 20 minutes ago was 348. So I sold, given that it's 352. And when I take a look at the market before I shorten it out, just the beautiful up and down movements. No need to go over that because buy low, sell high is so obviously profitable by looking at such. And amongst such, within this last low, pretty much a matching one to this, or last high rather, matching one to the one on February the 9th, matching to the ones after Christmas of last year, and in the area of where this pierce above was, even though this was much higher, still it was an attempt to break out. And after this major sell-off, another one, but it was higher, and to get back to where you came from after a sell-off as deep as this. Because when you go point A low to point B high, you're expecting a decent higher low, and this is lower than decent. I would have been like, well, the must-hold area is 227, 230 area. Well, it held and stayed above it. There's a few days where it stayed below it, but once it established this level of support, it was unable to even test that level, let alone break below it. And then to quickly get back to where it came from in here, that's why when I like this retracement, seeing what it's doing, okay, it didn't break it out here. It could have, it didn't, but we're still seeing this higher low right now in its current market. Let's take a look at this on the single hour time frame. And when you see the moves like this, take advantage of it. For myself, short-term movements, I will play for them. Short-term, intermediate term, and long-term. Given that I'm now a decent size holder of this coin, I would have to say that it would be my fourth biggest holding, not counting Bitcoin, Litecoin, or that of XBY, although Ethereum's pretty decent too. I have to think this is. I'm just doing numbers in my head. What do I got in Ethereum? Just do some math. Okay, well, I'm not too far off from where it would be just a bit below Ethereum now. And I'm using Ethereum as a base market right now, trading a good close to a dozen different coins against Ethereum. But as far as this is concerned, I got a seller that hit 348. And I have another one at 357, I think, is my next one. So it hasn't hit yet. I will put a new buy order in, and this 320 is not getting deleted. I'm still going to have it in there. I'll probably put a new one in for about 328. I'll check the order book, see where good spots are to go. If it doesn't hit before I go to bed, I'll reduce it to about 310 or so, and then just at the start of the day tighten up my buy and sell orders, and then depending on the situation, for the most part. One advantage of doing this and then being away for a while is if you get a decent sized move. Like, for example, say I end up selling at this stage in here right now, and I end up, say, selling another one again, say 357, and even again, maybe my 369 or whatever the next number is. I get 3 sell orders hit. So now, because I was aware of the situation, I would have put in buy orders. So for the 370, maybe I put a buy order down here and then 2 places below it. Where sometimes if I say were to leave the computer for several hours, I might get the sell order in the first 2 hours, and then over the next 6 hours it might go down to like 290. So instead of buying back at say 342, I'm buying it at 290, which is a better bargain. So that's one of the advantages. So I'll probably just keep my orders as is in over extended periods of times. But as I'm playing through this or playing this out, I got coins on Bittrex. I got coins for this on that of Coin Exchange. I'm waiting for. I got a few thousand also on a Cryptopia once that becomes available. Then I got coins on the fantasy site, coins on the poker site, and then coins on the wallet that they have. And I'll probably end up doing the similar thing with XBY, except I'm not going to play poker or fantasy sports with them by any means whatsoever, or trade them on Bittrex, unless of course XBY becomes available by then. I don't know. I just know that with XBY they applied for several exchanges back in January, and Coin Exchange obviously accepted it. How much the bigger ones, because I'm only presuming Binance should be on that list, but I don't know. But this was what I read on the internet. Alrighty, let's take a look at Theta. And I got the early move in December, in here, end of November rather. Let's take a look at some Fibonacci from these breakout lows of 1228 and the high of 36.95. So as I'm calculating it, I'm going to take the high divided by the low. That would be close to 3. And then I'll do it to the root of 2 numbers, one of them being 0.382, the other being 0.618, and then multiply it again by the low. And that will give me the 61.8 and 38.2 Fibonacci levels. Let's put those lines in now. With the 38.2 coming in at 1870, wasn't able to come up to this level on the 22nd of December, but it did resist it on the 27th. It's just amazing how often Fibonacci does these sort of things. And then it breaks above it, supports it on 2 different levels. Once on the 6th, again on the 9th, and the 61.8%, well, yeah, you guessed it, it's in this area. And that would be 24.26, and it's gotten nicely above it. For it originally pierced extra, which they usually do, this being no exception. The day after it did it, it had a pause day, closing above it, really not going lower and coming up close to its highs, giving back some of its gains the next day, barely making a lower low to the previous one, but still well above the 18 highs. And then on the session on the 13th, which was that of, I believe, Wednesday, it broke above it. Pause day on today's session, which would be Thursday. And today's session, which is Friday, even though I'm still an hour and 2 minutes away from that for my area, it's just continuation of the pause. Doing so above this upper area. That's pretty nice. Looking at this 4 hour, we can get some more towards it. So there's the first little resistance area here, coming back to it. Just so spectacular. And it really hasn't resisted this level much at all because it congested at it at first. Now, it did resist it here with a little bit of a pullback, but it's just congesting back and forth. That's all it did. It's had one somewhat of a price and time correction. It didn't sustain that much as it had one leg lower high to the 18 of such. Another leg lower, and albeit it wasn't much of a leg lower at all, and that's it. It gets up to the 18 highs, it holds it on the support test at the 3-hour timestamp, February 13. It gets above this multiple hit area at the 24.26 fib mark, and then breaking above it. It has not even touched it ever since. Let's take a look next at the single hour. And since it's gotten out above it, and we can see all of these hits at this level, but when it maintained the higher lows, at least from this one here it did. So it came up there on 2 different periods, higher low to the 18, came up here, resisted it, higher low within this again, breaking above it, pretty much supporting it, but supporting with the pierce above, and 3 beautiful green candles up. Didn't come down to it on this retracement low. And this attempt to revert the trend has ultimately failed. Well, ultimately failed, I can't say that yet, but it's sure looking that way. I mean, it could do it later, and why I say ultimately is if this breaks down below this low, then yeah. For you have your move up, you have your correctionary play, you leave the 18, you're probably got a good chance of breaking it. So you have this final green candle up at the 12-hour timestamp. Come down to the 18 again, break it. Okay, here's your hour, 1500 hours. This probably should have broken it, or at least you'd like to see a pause period after it. Or at least correct to a higher low from this point in here, which would have been maybe around 26.5. Rather, it matched its low, and then it followed through by having a significant break and a decent sized move from that point. It resisted it here. It's doing so while it's still maintaining this higher low. So it hasn't given up this. The 18's only barely starting to decline, and that doesn't mean it's going to go down. But if it doesn't go down, you're going to get the flatlining move, and if it stays above this, then at most all this can do is grind its way lower, and it can only do that for so long as it is anyway. And within it, it's looking more of a sideways move. So it was first an attempt to break out. Now it's like, oh, okay, let's downgrade the situation to like a neutral status amongst this levels time frame, showing maybe possible choppy action, which is you go below the 18, you spend little time there, then you go above the 18, same thing again, back and forth movements, still the possibility. But as it's playing out, though, I do give the benefit of the doubt to a decent size move coming up. For if we're not going to get resistance in here, then usually we have a fast move to the next level. And when we didn't have resistance here, after supporting it, it had a fast move to this level. And now, instead of resisting it overall, it is showing resistance. It's congesting amongst this area because it has been now like 6 days in this just sideways movement from this high. And again, the sideways range could still be between 2300 and 2700, as shown even in a smaller range on the short term. But the next key levels pretty much is, well, let me take a look at the 76.4. You got a little one at 28.49 Pierce Extra, I would be thinking. So in here you'd be looking at around 3,031 as like a lower high move to here, like a halfway from here to the previous high, with the previous high being a key level. Then breaking previous high, it's a wild card guess where 4,500, 45,000, or 10,000 more realistically could be levels of resistance thereafter. But if this area does not, if it doesn't go up from here, I would be looking at this price action to pierce below 2,000 and then pierce below 1,870 as this previous level of key resistance is to me major what I need to hold as support. Because originally, when it broke higher, I need to see it hold and stay above this level here at 1373. Well, that number is upgraded. Now I want to see it hold and stay above like around 1817 and a half, 1750 is the number I want to see it hold and stay above on any retracement going lower. And we'll finish off with a couple of codes on Bittrex. Loop ring, I sold near this top, so we'll see what happens here, but it's giving back this rally after so much of a down move relatively quick. That's definitely not a positive sign for a bullish case. If this move is a failed one, especially after the sideways consolidation in here, don't be surprised if it comes back down to previous support, resistance that you'd be looking for support at around a 1212 area or a good pierce above 12. Let's finish this off with breaking news amongst ApeCoin. And that is, it's at around 1,000 Satoshi still. That's the breaking news. It hasn't changed. That's about it. But this really keeps my curiousness watching on how this is going to play out. It's about as exciting as watching the grass grow or paint dry. The only difference is I don't know how this exactly is going to play out, and I'm actually interested in its result. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's another 4, 5, 6, 7 more days of it staying. Like, I mean, this is just crazy how tight this is. I mean, I can't even get this into small periods. This is the best I can do. This is the last few days. There we go. This is exciting, isn't it? Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.